Mangwanani Muri Africa, and welcome to Africa Good Morning on this beautiful Monday morning. You're joined by Diana Master and Glenora Shipura. Now, going forward, our program will be running for 30 minutes long from 7 a.m. until 7:30 a.m. And today we're going to be crossing over to Zimbabwe to speak to Talent Gore, who will give us the latest news on the ground. Good morning, Glenn.
Good morning, Diana. How are you doing today?
I am doing well for a Monday because it's raining.
It's raining, yes. That's why I'm wearing blue.
Oh, okay.
Well, today is International Day for Eradication of Poverty in a world characterized by an unprecedented level of economic development, technological means, and financial resources. That millions of persons are living in extreme poverty is a moral outrage. Now, poverty is not solely an economic issue, but rather a multidimensional phenomenon that encompasses a lack of both income and the basic capabilities to live in dignity. Let's take a look at this video on just that. Getting into our top stories, Sub-Saharan Africa faces its most challenging environment in years, with the region's pandemic recovery disrupted by surging inflation, rising interest rates, and a global slowdown, the IMF said on Friday. Now, the crisis lenders assessment came days after it downgraded the region's growth prospect to 3.6% for 2022, markedly lower than last year's 4.7% figure, as rising food and energy costs hit vulnerable groups while public debt ballooned. The region's prospects are tied firmly to developments in the global economy, the IMF said in a regional economic outlook report, adding that many countries continue to face tough social, political, and security situations. Now, the world has been hit by multiple shocks, with countries spending heavily to protect the economies during the coronavirus pandemic before facing supply chain snarls as they emerge from lockdowns. Now, prices soared further after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, prompting central banks to raise interest rates aggressively. Food and fuel prices have raised the cost of living, inflicting particular pain on Sub-Saharan Africa, given that a high share of income in the region goes towards food. The IMF's African Department Chief Abebo Amero Salasi told AFP.
Now, in our next story, Angola among 32 countries to have reduced hunger by 50% or more since 2000. Angola is one of the 32 countries that have reduced their global hunger index by 50% or more since 2000, but still has a serious level, according to an annual report presented on Thursday. Entitled Food Systems Transformation and Local Governance, the report is produced annually by non-governmental organizations Walter Hunger Life and Concern Worldwide to analyze the state of world hunger. The latest global index report, which uses data from 136 countries, shows 44 countries suffering with serious or alarming levels of hunger. In the 2022 edition, the authors identified signs of progress despite the global situation being grim and mournful. The overlapping crises facing the world are exposing weaknesses in food systems from global to local and exposing the vulnerability of populations around the world to hunger, it reads. Now, despite the discouraging indicators, the report highlights signs of progress as many countries have achieved impressive reductions in hunger.
A pastor was shot dead, 2 others wounded after armed robbers attacked Deep Slot Church. Police in Gauteng have launched a manhunt for 5 armed robbers who stormed into a church in Deep Slot on Friday night and started to shoot randomly at congregants. The suspect shot dead a pastor and left 2 congregants wounded. It is alleged that about 50 congregants were busy worshipping at approximately 11:45 p.m. during an overnight service when 5 unknown men entered the church and started to shoot randomly. Police spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Mavela Masondo said the suspects robbed the congregants of their cash and cell phones before fleeing the scene. Now, 3 of the people who were shot, including a pastor, were taken to a local medical center where the pastor died when on arrival, now said Masando in a statement on Saturday. Meanwhile, in Barberton, Mapulanga, 2 people were gunned down on Friday morning and brought to cemetery to dig up a grave in Majindi Trust in a suspected gang-related shooting. The group of about 20 people were on their way to the local cemetery when a fight broke out and the shots were fired. Some people ran for cover, but they said 2 unfortunately did not dodge the flying bullets. Now, in a separate incident, a Cape Town police officer shot himself in an apparent suicide attempt outside the VGKLC River Church during the funeral service of another cop on Saturday morning. Now, the cop, who is part of Western Cape Community Safety and Police Oversight MEC Regan Allen's protection detail, was on duty when he allegedly attempted to end his life.
Now, in our next story, plans afoot to militarize Mali police force again. The National Police will once again become a military body and undergo the same training if a new bill is approved by the National Transitional Council. The police and the military will have the same training, the same bonuses, and will have the same advantages. The only difference is that the police and civil protection agents will remain under the Ministry of Security and the military will remain under the Ministry of Defense. Abubakar Siddiq Fomba, a member of the National Transition Council, has said. The bill will allow the militarized police to protect areas liberated by the army, but according to opposition leader Amodu Aya, the police and civil protection have missions over and above the defense of the territory. Meanwhile, junta leader Colonel Assimi Goita received a draft of a proposed constitution this week that will shift the balance of executive power from the parliament towards the president if approved.
Swinging over to South Africa, water levels in Johannesburg have plummeted even further, with Rand Water on Sunday, sounding the alarm that the situation was dire. This is owed to Rand Water's uninterrupted load shifting from Aikenhof pump station to recover the Palmeet system. Now, last week, Rand Water implemented level 2 water restrictions in the cities of Johannesburg, Tshwane and Ekurhuleni. This means restricting water pressure by around 30%. Should consumptions be too high in a specific area, water will be cut off for a few hours in a bid to conserve dwindling water levels. Now, around 17 people rely on water supplied by the Rand Water. On average, each person in Gauteng consumes over 300 liters of water a day compared to the global average of 173 liters. Since the start of spring, water usage has soared from 4,300 million liters a day to 4,900 liters. In a statement, Rand Water said Johannesburg Water Command systems levels have worsened from critical low to empty.
In our closing of our top stories, Taiwan charges 10 over Uganda student labor scam. Taiwanese prosecutors on Friday indicted a senior university official and 9 others over a scholarship scam where Ugandan students were forced to toil in a factory instead of studying. The case came to light in January after local media reported student complaints that they were ordered to intern at factories, dealing a blow to Taiwan's image as one of Asia's most progressive democracies. The Education Ministry has since banned Chung Choi University of Science and Technology in central Changhua County from recruiting foreign students. District prosecutors on Friday indicted the school's Dean of Student Affairs, the Deputy Chief of the county's government's Youth Development Department, and 8 others on a number of charges from human trafficking to fraud and corruption. According to prosecutors, the Dean and 2 colleagues allegedly tricked the Ugandans with fake promises of hefty scholarships and high-tech industry internships into coming to study at the university in late 2019. Once they arrived in Taiwan, the students were informed that they owed the school travel and other expenses and had to do long hours of labor-intensive work at local factories. The deputy chief failed to investigate the alleged exploitation and decided that the factory that hired them did not violate labor laws, prosecutors said. The deputy head of a shelter for foreigners was also charged in the case after he revealed the whereabouts of a Ugandan student to a school employee.
After the break, we'll be back with some news from Zimbabwe. Do stay with us.
Flex is your health and fitness show that focuses on the health of the mind, body, and spirit. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact zone@synergy.com.na.
As promised earlier, we'll now be crossing over to Zimbabwe and we speak to Talent Gore to give us the latest news on the ground. Good morning, Talent.
Good morning, Diana. Good morning, Glenor. How are you doing this morning?
We are doing well, but unfortunately, in your first story, 6 children killed in a bus accident. Could you please tell us about this?
The driver of the Teenwood High School bus, which killed 6 students and injured 39 others Friday night, was speeding and failed to negotiate a sharp curve, leading to the horror crash. These are details which are actually emerging right now. The driver of the bus, Chamunorwa, was 43, is yet to produce his driver's license to ascertain whether he was certified to have been behind the wheels of the car. The Zimbabwe Public Police confirms that 6 students, comprising of 5 girls and a boy from Teenwood High School, died on October 14 at 7 p.m. when the school bus, which was on its way to a trip, veered off the road and overturned at the 75-kilometer peg along Rusape Nyanga Road. The bus driver allegedly failed to negotiate a sharp curve, resulting in the bus rolling several times on a steep slope. It then landed on its roof. So yesterday there was a mass funeral service at Teenwood High School in Harare, whereby mourners were gathered there and some people actually went there to pay their condolences to the families of those who passed on. Government has since assisted the school, and the school also assisted the families of those who passed away. Apparently 39 others were injured and some of them are still in hospital.
Truly sad indeed. Now, in your next story, Medicines Body Flex 4 toxic cough syrups. Can you get into this?
The Medicines Control Authority of Zimbabwe has urged medical professionals and citizens to be on high alert after the World Health Organization red-flagged 4 pediatric drugs linked to the recent deaths of 69 children in the Gambia in West Africa. MCAZ Acting Director Richard Rukwata said the 4 products are promethazine oral solution, Cofexmalin baby cough syrup, Markov baby cough syrup, and Magrib and cold syrup. According to the World Health Organization, the medicines were manufactured by Maiden Pharmaceuticals Limited of India and were imported into some countries in Africa. So the Medicines Control Authority of Zimbabwe has said that the products contained harmful ingredients that had toxic effects. And to date, the stated manufacturer has not provided guarantees to World Health Organization on the safety and quality of these products. So these 4 products are no longer allowed in Zimbabwe, and the government, the Medicines Control Authority of Zimbabwe, has urged people not to buy, or even those who sell, not to sell these products as they are harmful to the children.
You know, we actually have reported about this here on Africa Good Morning about the medicines, and you know, one really wonders why the medicine board allows, you know, this medicine to be up for sale. But anyway, moving right along, cop and soldier up for $1.3 million robbery. Could you please tell us what is happening there, Talent?
A criminal investigations department officer and a soldier appeared before Harare Regional Magistrate Taurai Manuere facing charges of robbing a company called ABC Auctions of $1.3 million United States dollars. CID officer Kelvin Marimu, who's 42, and Osinenge Jomuya, who's 36 from Zimbabwe National Army signals were remanded in custody to October 27. Allegations are that on October 8 at around 1 a.m., Marimo Jomuya and their accomplices, who are still at large, and one who is now deceased, connived to rob the company. They went to ABC auctions where they scaled the precast wall and overpowered security guards and tied their hands and legs with shoelaces. They broke into the offices where they broke 6 safes using grinders and explosives. They allegedly stole $1,014,000 United States dollars cash and jewelry worth 250 United States dollars. So this is not the first time that we've seen a cop and soldiers being involved in money heist or being involved in robberies. Just recently, we have been noticing a trend whereby most of the robberies that are happening in Zimbabwe, especially those involving large amounts of money, they are necessitated, or there is the involvement of the police or the army. So this is something that has been going on in Zimbabwe for quite some time now, and we don't know why the police and the army are taking part of these robberies.
One certainly does wonder. Anyway, thank you so much, Shalin, for bringing us the latest news on the ground in Zimbabwe.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
Now, Windhoek has been experiencing some rains. We hope the same for Southern Africa. Let's take a look at the weather.
Active Kids is an initiative under the MyZone brand that aims to provide exciting and easy activities and fun stories. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact zone@synergy.com.na. Active Kids, where we actively invest in your future.
Let's get into our economic news. Ethiopia restricts use of foreign currency. Ethiopia has ordered banks to deny foreign currency to businesses importing non-priority goods in an effort to shore up dwindling foreign reserves in one of Africa's major economies. Now, the move effectively freezes the import of dozens of items such as alcohol and cars, as businesses must register with banks to obtain the foreign currency needed to bring goods into the country. In a letter to Ethiopia's central bank, the Ministry of Finance said it had become necessary to restrict the use of foreign currency to importing food, medicine, and medical equipment and raw materials for manufacturing. The list of some 40 products includes vehicles and motorcycles, to wall clocks, umbrellas, carpets and soaps, alcohol, perfumes and cigarettes. No recent public figures are available regarding Ethiopia's reserves of foreign currency. In late March, the National Bank of Ethiopia indicated reserves had fallen to $1.6 billion at the end of 2021, covering less than 2 months' worth of imports, according to local newspapers, the reporter. Now, a largely importing country, Ethiopia is in structural shortage of foreign currency, the French Treasury said in a periodic bulletin this month.
And now bringing us to the end of our economic news in Mozambique, AFDB Sustainable Energy Africa Fund for Africa provides $2.5 million to increase penetration of renewable energy. The Board of Directors of the African Development Bank has approved a grant of $2.5 million to the Mozambican government to develop renewable energy resources. The grant from the Sustainable Energy Fund for Africa, administered by the bank, will be used to implement the Mozambique Renewable Energy Integration Program. The funding will assist the national electricity company to provide financial support for technical, economic, environmental and social feasibility studies for the development of a solar floating power plant in Chikamba Reservoir. In addition, it will support funding for a feasibility study for energy battery systems storage in up to 10 sites, as well as capacity building for EDM's personnel and support for tender preparation. The donation will also be used to conduct studies to increase the share of variable renewable energy production in Mozambique's energy mix. Feasibility studies to develop floating photovoltaic solar energy will be conducted in existing EDM hydropower assets. Now let's take a look at the economic indicators.
Let's take a look at what's happening in the world of sports. T20 World Cup, Namibia shocked Sri Lanka in opening game. Namibia, ranked 14th in the world, shocked Asia Cup champions Sri Lanka to win by 55 runs as the men's T20 World Cup started in spectacular fashion. Having lost the toss, Namibia fell to 35-3 and 93-6 before Jan Freyling and JJ Smith hit 70 of the final 37 balls to hold them to an above par 163-7. In reply, Sri Lanka, who are 8th in the world, were bowled out for 108. Namibia's only other win over a test nation was against Ireland in 2021. Now Scotland and Ireland's campaign start on Monday when they face West Indies and Zimbabwe respectively in Group B.
Now in our next story, another box signs for the Sharks. Following their impressive 40-12 win over Glasgow Warriors in a United Rugby Championship clash on Saturday, there was more good news for Sharks fans this weekend. After adding a number of players to their roster over the past few months, including Saturday's man of the match, Eben Etzebeth, another Springbok centre, Francois Venter, has joined the Durban franchise. He joined from Western Warriors, a club currently under administration and that will be relegated from the English Premiership, leaving Venter free to leave. Venter last played for South Africa in 2017. He has 7 test caps and has scored 1 try for the Springboks. The Sharks took to social media to announce the signing by simply saying, welcoming Francois Venter to the Sharks family. Sean Everett's Chargers are next in action in the URC next Saturday when they take on Ulster in Durban.
Rounding off our sports news, Andy Murray loses to Sebastian Korda in quarter-final. Andy Murray is out of the Gijón Open after losing his quarter-final against American Sebastian Korda in 3 sets. British former world number 1 Murray, currently ranked 48th, won 5 successive games as he clinched the second to set a force a decider, but he fell to 6-4, 1-6, 6-1 defeat against world number 47 Korda, who will meet France Arthur Rinkenech next. Now Murray, 35, was given a wild card for the tournament, his first since September's Lever Cup.
We'll now take a quick ad break and return with the highlights.
AgriMonitor is jou weeklikse landboukundige program wat jou die jongste nuus in die landbouverwante bedryf en onderwerpe wat daaraan gekoppel is bring. Vir enige advertensie of nuusverwante navraag, kontak agrimonitor@synergy.com.na.
Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning. If you're just joining us, here are your news highlights. Africa sees most challenging environment in years, and this is according to the International Monetary Fund. Angola among 32 countries to have reduced hunger by 50% or more since 2000. Ethiopia restricts use of foreign currency. T20 World Cup, Namibia shocks Sri Lanka in opening game.
And with that, we've come to the end of our broadcast. Do remember that Africa Good Morning is repeated on our 1up2 website, in our DSTV channel 285, and our Gotv channel 94 between 8:30 and 9 a.m. every weekday. I am Glenn Rashipura.
And I am Diana Master. Until tomorrow, have a lovely day.